Today, we're going to dive into something that's inside every single living cell. It's often overlooked, but honestly, without it, life just wouldn't exist. Nope, it's not the nucleus or the mitochondria. We are talking about the cytoplasm, and it is so much more than just some cellular goo.
Think about the last time you saw a diagram of a cell. What was the part you kind of just ignored? I'm going to bet it was that clear, jelly-like stuff that's filling in all the empty space. But what if I told you that this goo is actually one of the most dynamic, most critical places in all of biology? Let's take a closer look.
Okay, first things first, let's break down what this cellular goo is actually made of, because it's not just one thing. Oh no, it's a really complex and frankly fascinating mixture that creates the entire internal world of the cell.
And here's the official definition for you. The cytoplasm is everything, and I mean everything, inside the cell membrane except for the nucleus. It's the whole internal environment, the stage where pretty much all the action happens.
So this environment is a mix of three key things. First, you've got the cytosol, that's the fluid itself. Then you have the organelles, the cell's many organs, just kind of suspended in that fluid. And finally, there's this rich soup of dissolved molecules, things like sugars and proteins. All together, they create this perfectly balanced, all-in-one workshop.
All right, so now that we know what it is, let's get to the real heart of it. What does a cytoplasm actually do? And let me tell you, its job description is seriously impressive.
Seriously, forget that idea of some simple, passive jelly just sitting there. The cytoplasm is an active, bustling hub that has 5 critical jobs to do to keep the cell alive and kicking. Without these roles, the cell would just stop.
And this slide just lays out its multitasking genius. First off, it's like a backpack, holding all the organelles securely in place. Second, it's the factory floor, the main site for most of the cell's chemical reactions. Third, it acts like a river, with currents that are constantly moving materials around. Fourth, it's a pantry, storing all the vital supplies the cell needs. And fifth, it provides shape and support, thanks to an internal scaffolding called the cytoskeleton, which acts just like the beams of a building.
So you might be wondering, is the cytoplasm the same in every single type of cell? Well, not exactly, and this leads us to a really fascinating comparison between animal cells and plant cells.
In an animal cell, the cytoplasm pretty much fills up the entire space. But in a plant cell, it's a different story. They have this massive water tank right in the middle called the central vacuole. And this thing is so big, it actually pushes all the cytoplasm and its organelles into a thin layer right up against the cell wall. It's the same basic stuff, but it's organized in a completely different way to meet the plant's unique needs.
All right, I promise you this was a dynamic and fascinating topic, so let's hit some rapid-fire facts that really show just how incredible the cytoplasm is. Check out this number, 70 to 90%. What is that? Well, that's the percentage of the cytoplasm that is made of plain old water. Yeah, it's mostly H2O. But here's the crazy part. It doesn't behave like water at all. Because of everything else that's dissolved in it, the cytoplasm has this thick, gel-like consistency. So even though it's mostly water, it provides a really stable, structured environment for the cell.
And remember those building beams we were talking about, the cytoskeleton? Well, that's not some fixed structure. It's constantly being broken down and rebuilt, every few minutes. The cell is always remodeling its internal architecture on the fly. It's just unbelievably dynamic.
And it gets even better. The reactions happening in this goo can be incredibly fast. We're talking less than 1,000th of a second, faster than the blink of an eye. And get this, for some organisms, like an amoeba, the cytoplasm is how they move. They can change their entire body shape just by making their cytoplasm flow in one direction or another.
So let's bring all this together. After seeing what it's made of, what it does, and just how strange and powerful it is, what's the ultimate takeaway here?
This is the bottom line. Without cytoplasm, a cell would just be a deflated balloon. There'd be no structure to hold the organelles, no place for chemical reactions to happen, and no way to move materials around. In short, there would be no life. It's that simple.
I think this quote from our source material just says it all perfectly. The cytoplasm isn't just one thing. It is the all-in-one system that makes cellular life possible. It is the ultimate multitasker.
So the next time you see a diagram of a cell, maybe take a closer look at that background filler, because you might just be looking at the cell's true, most valuable player. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.